Pelosi is just a shiny beacon of honesty, integrity, compassion, heart, very relatable. Not. Well, she's having a good week, I guess you could say. So she was first in the news because she called President Donald Trump morbidly obese, which shame, 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 Miss Identity Politics. Isn't that body shaming? Then President Trump is asked about her comment. So she said this in reference to, she was asked the question, what do you think about Donald Trump taking hydroxychloroquine? I don't know. And that's when she said, well, you know, I'm very worried about his safety. It's not approved. First of all, it is approved. It's just not technically approved for that use, but this is a drug that's been around for a really long time. I'm sure Donald Trump has a pretty grade A group of doctors that he's working with to take it. If he wants to take it, take it. And if you don't like him so much, are you really that worried about his health, Nancy? Are you really, or were you just being snide? So he's asked about it in a press conference, and he brushes it off by saying, I'm not even going to comment on that. She's a waste of time, which clearly she is. And she doubled down and defended her comment by saying, well, you know what? He dishes it out all the time, so I'm just giving it right back to him. I'm just saying what doctors have said about him, and he's made these comments about women. So there she goes, flipping it around. That's what you do in the game of identity politics. You flip it around when you're the one in the wrong to make yourself the victim. And that's what she tried to do in this situation. Okay, so another video came out of her speaking where she sort of goes off into like a weird tangent, and it almost appears, well, I'll play it for you right now, then we'll talk.
So many ways that it's almost a given. It's like a child who comes in with mud on their pants or something. That's the way it is. They're outside playing. That's what he comes in with doggy do on his shoes, and everybody who works with him has that on their shoes too for a very long time to come. So I don't know. I hear doctors talk to me about saying, you know, what's the matter with him? The things he says are so inappropriate for a president of the United States. The comments he makes about women. So inappropriate. So no, I don't think it's appropriate. But again, there's a market for it, obviously, and that's what he plays to. There's a word somebody used to me. They said you would understand it better if you knew what a confabulator is. Confabulator is. Look up the word confabulator. Somebody just really doesn't even know what the truth is and just says anything. And because he says it, then he believes it. But this, you know what? Forget about him. This is about how we go forward to help save lives, save the livelihood of our people by saving our economy.
First of all, she's going off in a tantrum, and then she goes off in all these different directions. I can't even follow her. Secondly, and I don't mean to make fun or bring light to anyone with any kind of substance abuse problem or an alcohol problem, and I'm not saying that she has one. I have no idea. I would never say that she did. I'm not saying that she was drinking before this. But what this video reminded me of, and I can't help but say it because this is what I thought of the whole time, if I was really drunk and was trying to, and had to complete a task, like answer questions, and I was trying really hard to act straight and to get everything out, that's how I would look. One of her biggest criticisms of Donald Trump, well, among a huge list of criticisms that she has with Donald Trump, is that he's unpredictable and not mentally fit or stable enough to be the president. Who's the one having all the tantrums? Who's the one that ripped up the paper sitting behind him just a little while ago? Who's the one that is having all these tantrums and and calling him names? At least when he's calling names, it's for comedy and he's doing it in a calm place. You're the one having tantrums. What was this? That's the most incoherent. I couldn't even follow what she was saying. Here's the last video of Nancy. This came out either yesterday or the day before, in which she's talking about the mail at home ballots, so they want people to mail in their votes and not go to voting places to vote. And they're using the guise of being safe, and it's all about safety, and it's all about science and safe and science. It's for you. We're worried about you. That's how they're flipping this whole thing. It has nothing to do with the American people, and it has nothing to do with us staying safe, and has everything to do with opening up the floodgates for voter fraud. And that's what happens when you mail in your ballots, because what can happen is you might get ballots from someone that passed away. You might get ballots from someone that never would have even gone and voted themselves and is probably not educated at all about politics, so they'll just go with whatever. You might get parents that are getting in ballots for their kids that are off at school or living somewhere else, and they just go ahead and do the vote for them. You also get lower educated people that are going to turn out voting because they don't actually have to go to a voter place. So you're going to have more of those people that are voting, and typically those people that are less educated on politics happen to be Democrats, and they know this. And this isn't me saying that Democrats aren't smart or this or that, but I'm saying because the mainstream media is basically almost all Democratic, and everything is orange man bad, and everything is leaning on the left, that if you're a lower educated voter, you're going to automatically vote Democrat because that's what is in the media, that's what everyone else is doing. So I just, the more I watch her and the more I watch what they're doing, it's getting to the point where it's just like, I feel like I look at her and I feel I'm looking at just this evil woman. It creeps me out.
Fine, thank you for that. First of all, we're now calling it voting at home because that's really what it's all about, enabling people to vote at home. And in the legislation, we have additional funds, $3.6 billion, which is what is necessary for us to conduct an election, which follows some of our encouragements. That is that every voter would receive an absentee ballot, that there would be same-day registration, that for those who need to vote on Election Day, whether it's disabilities or concern about their ballot, et cetera, that there would be safe opportunities for them to do so well in advance of Election Day, but in adequate locations that are safe. This becomes a health issue. This becomes a health issue, as we saw in Wisconsin. Standing in those lines for that amount of time, going to places that are enclosed, is dangerous to your health. And again, vote by mail is more democratic. It gives people more options. It removes obstacles and barriers to voting, which is what we want to do, voting at home.
My God, did you see all those people standing in line safely 6 feet apart, wearing face masks, looking cool, calm, and collected? Oh, the humanity. Thank God for voting at home. That looks very unsafe, very unorderly, never gonna work. It's the CARES Act and the HEROES Act. Or the vote from home. They try to put these lovely labels on it so that how can you say no to the HEROES Act? How can you say no to voting at home, to keeping people safe? How could you go out and want to vote and put other people at risk? That's what they're doing with this whole thing. And I think a lot of people are waking up to it. At this point, we're seeing that we flatten the curve. We're seeing the terrible effects that this continued lockdown is having on society, on mental health, on economics, and on health, regular health, for example. So I think people are starting to wake up to this, and they're being pretty transparent without trying to be transparent, if that makes sense. Anyway, those are my thoughts on Miss Nancy this week. Another gift that keeps on giving. I'll see you later. Bye.